Hello, friends. If you're just hopping on right now, then you probably opted out or couldn't make it to be at our gathering this Sunday morning. And you might be watching this actually on Sunday morning. So, whenever you're watching this, I'm glad you're here and welcome. I want to start with a statement that we've probably said and we've probably had said to us at some point. Here it is. It's you're here, but you're not with me. Have you ever said that, or have you ever had that said to you? You're here, but you're not really with me. And we could say that statement in a variety of situations. What is the difference between being here and being with someone? Well, as you think about that, I'll tell you a few stories about being here but not being with someone. So, first, Sandra. Sandra sat down on the edge of the bed. It had really been a long day, and Tom, her husband, was already under the covers. She started telling Tom about the day and told him about how her computer crashed and just had all kinds of mess with that. And then she got a call from her girlfriend who had lost her job and this new employee that they had hired and everything that was going on with that. And she glances over at Tom, and Tom's eyes are somewhere else. And she looks over at him and she says, "Tom, you're here, but you're not really with me." And Tom realizes, oh, she's right. Uh, he'd been thinking about Gonzaga's basketball team. Distracted. Yep, I am here, but I wasn't with you there for a moment. Another story. This story's about Greg. So, Greg was a teacher, um, and there was a big school board meeting, teachers, big meeting. It had been a year since the school district had switched to a new curriculum. Greg taught sixth grade. He really didn't like the new curriculum. He wasn't following the new curriculum, in fact, and he sat in the back of the meeting with arms crossed, thinking no one's going to make me do something that I don't want to do. And at the end of the meeting, the school superintendent came up to Greg, and the school superintendent says to Greg, "Hey, Greg, it's like you're here, but you're not really with us. What's going on?" And the superintendent was right. Greg had not bought in to these new ideas. He just hadn't. Yep, I am here, but I am not with you. Another story. Dusty. So, Dusty, along with four friends, they were attempting a startup, a new business venture. And of course, we all know startups go under all the time. They don't make it. And so this was quite a risk. Dusty's four friends had invested everything they had, all their savings, anything that they could put into this new venture, they were all in. They quit their jobs. They were really putting their necks on the line, and it was sink or swim. And Dusty was the exception because Dusty was playing it safe. Dusty had managed to retain 20 hours a week at his old job. He really liked his old boss, and so he was trying to keep a foot in both places, and he had only invested a portion of his savings into the new business venture. And then when the four friends would come and say, Hey, do you think you can handle this? Dusty was always saying, yeah, let me check with my boss and look at my schedule. We'll see how this works. And finally, the four friends said, Dusty, it feels like you're here, but you are not with us. And Dusty recognized, yep, that's exactly right. Dusty had a prior loyalty to this old boss, and he wasn't all in. He was not willing to put his neck on the line. So, discussion question for you to chat about with whoever you are gathered with, or if you're watching alone, maybe you'll just pause the video and think about this a little bit. It's that question I asked right at the beginning. What are the differences? What are the differences between being here and being with someone? Think about examples. Think about things you've experienced in your life. So take a moment, pause the video, chat about that. All right. That brings us to our parable today. Luke 14 starts in verse 25. If we had a record of how Jesus spent his time on planet Earth, and specifically the last 3 years of his earthly life, his earthly ministry, what do you think he spent the bulk of his time doing? If I had to guess, I'd say the two activities that he spent more time doing than any other activity would probably be one, maybe I have these in the wrong order, sleeping and walking. I don't know. Maybe walking is higher. I don't know. But sleeping and traveling, walking the long, dusty roads in a world where that's how you get around, just going from one place to the next, one village to the next, crossing back and forth across the Sea of Galilee, and sometimes walking doing that. Well, on this particular day, there were a lot of people that were out walking on the dusty road with Jesus. Large crowds of people were traveling the same road as Jesus. And so they were all here. They're all here. But not everyone was with Jesus. And so Jesus turns and he said to them, he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and you're not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will mock and ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. Or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he's able, with 10,000 men, to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he'll send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not say goodbye to all your possessions cannot be my disciples. Salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is fit neither for the soil nor for the manure pile. It's thrown out. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. That's a zinger. Jesus, just to be clear, did you just say you cannot be my disciple unless you hate other people, i.e., your family, unless you hate yourself? Did I hear you right there? And if so, guys, I think Jesus may have been out in the sun too long. Like, anyone got any water? Because I think he might need it. Uh, Jesus, let me remind you of a few things. Like, remember when you said that the most important commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, and love your neighbor? That's others, like family, as yourself. Remember that? And Jesus, there was that time in the Sermon on the Mount when you said that not uh, you you shouldn't even hate your enemy. You should love your enemy. So Jesus, like, are you telling us really you want us to neglect our families so that Christians should just ditch their families? Jesus, you remember you reamed the Pharisees out for this Corbin thing where they basically give people a religious free pass and say you can hold on to all your money and you don't have to care for any of your relatives if you're going to give your money to the temple when you die. And Jesus, the Apostle Paul, he's definitely not going to go this way that you're going, because he's going to say if you don't provide for your relatives and your family, then you've denied the faith. So, guys, I think we might need to find Jesus some shade here. He's been out in the sun too long. That that's kind of the way that this verse, this what Jesus says here, strikes a lot of people. But actually, Jesus is using a common Jewish idiom. It's a figure of speech where hate, if you're hearing that as like the opposite of love, you're not hearing it the way that Jesus is using it. Hate means love less, prioritize less, leave something or someone unchosen. Uh, in this case, it would be the interests of your family. We're expanding this definition of family. So this group of relatives becomes uh, like infinitely second place. It's been said. It's hate becomes a subcategory of love. That's that's the gist of the way Jesus is using this word, and it helps if we look at how did families work in Jesus' day, and how did honor work and economics, because those things were all tied together. So I'm gonna give you a modern day example to try to help you connect with Jesus' day, where society was just they were obsessed with honor. So here's the modern day example. So uh, this what I'm about to tell you is not a true story, uh, but let's imagine that my brother, who lives in Phoenix and is a pastor, let's say it's just a front. Let's say he's actually a jewelry thief and he's very good at it. And the pastor gig is just that's just a front for the real thing. Uh, and let's say that he has pulled off countless heists. Now, none of that's true. We're imagining. Let's say my brother got caught, and in getting caught, his life falls apart. He's sentenced to years in prison. Now, I would be heartbroken for my brother if this was the case, but I would not be afraid of losing my job at Netart's Friends Church. I would not be afraid that Netart's Friends Church is going to come and they're going to say, Aaron, we heard about what happened to your brother and you're fired. Uh, I would not be afraid that now I am unemployable, that not only have I lost my job, but I'm not going to be able to find a job anywhere. Okay, so that's modern day. If we would rewind the clock, if the same scenario happened in Jesus' day, I could very likely lose my job and become unemployable because family reputation was everything. It's called family honor. And any member of the family, because it's the family name, any member of the family could mess everything up for the entire family. To make an oversimplification, when you hear the word family honor in like the first century context, you should think dollars. That's an oversimplification, but family honor affected livelihood. It affected what opportunities were available to you, who you can marry, what your role is in religious function in life, how much education and training you can receive, where you can live, what functions in the community can you even attend, and do people see your business as trustworthy? Are they going to use your services, buy your stuff? Family was your identity. It's your honor. And one shaming event, like um, one black sheep, your brother's a jewelry thief, whatever it is, one shaming event could tank the family honor, which tanks the family business, the family livelihood. So marriage and family was very much an economic enterprise. And there was a, a wide disparity in families because there were poor families who had no honor, and then there were rich families who had a lot of honor at 700 to 15,000 times more income than the poor families. 700 times more. That is so much more. Think about a family that makes twice as much as you make. Now try to wrap your mind around making 700 times more than you, much less 10,000 times more than your annual income. It's like the disparity. So in this world of limited goods, honor and shame was everything, because shame is we're not going to make it, and honor is we can make it. So every person had this sense of core obligation to their family. These are my people, over and against everyone else. Now, it was a collectivist society, not a individualist society like we're living in. But your family was like your core obligation. So siblings, it was seen as a classic evil if siblings were rival in sibling rivalry and like exposing one another's faults and competing, that kind of stuff. We look at that stuff and we just laugh. Or if a sibling is in competition with someone else, it's like, oh, that's kind of funny. Of course, they're ribbing one another. But in Jesus' day, that wasn't funny at all because they were going to expose their family weakness, which is could be a shaming event, which erodes the family strength and honor and livelihood, a name in the community. So survival of the family was based on we have to avoid shame. Now, so that's family, right? Now we have to talk about the ultimate picture of shame, which was the Roman cross at the time. This we're crucifying you. We think of that and we hear like, wow, that's terrible torture. But it wasn't only torture, it was shame, humiliation, abandonment. You are labeled as an outcast because somehow you have run up against the structures of society and you're threatening them in some way, and we are saying nope. Uh, and it's this shaming event that would just tank the family's honor. So, with that in mind, listen to Jesus again out there on the road, um, and see how what he says sounds. So here it is. If anyone comes to me and does not hate, i.e., love less, prioritize less, their father, their mother, their wife, their children, their brothers, their sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry their cross. I'm ready to carry this ultimate picture of shame and rejection day if they do not do that and follow me, they cannot be my disciple. So suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost? See if you have enough money to complete it. If you lay the foundation and you're not able to finish it, everyone who sees will mock and ridicule you. That's that shame thing. Saying, this guy, this person, they began to build and they weren't able to finish. Suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Won't he first sit down and consider whether he's able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he's not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and ask for terms of peace. In the same way, those of you who do not say goodbye to all of your possessions cannot be my disciples. Salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is fit neither for the soil nor for the manure pile. It's thrown out. Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear. Now, the people hearing those words, some of them were here with Jesus, some of them were with Jesus. Some of them looked at Jesus, he's traveling the same road they are, but Jesus is just the hip new thing. And as soon as they catch wind, if I follow Jesus, I could be shamed. My family could be shamed. They're gonna say, nope, not doing it. And there are others who are with Jesus and they're really with Jesus. They are learning what it means to become a disciple. So they've left their income, their job, their tool of their trade, family members, old associations, and they are walking around the country behind Jesus. And they are learners, apprentices, students of Jesus, and they're learning what it means to share life with other disciples, which means a lot of walking and a lot of sharing food. And they are sharing possessions with this new community of disciples, this new family that Jesus is creating. He's saying, follow me. And so, what is Jesus really saying to these folks that are walking on the road? And we hear him say, you got to hate these people. Well, what's he really saying? He's inviting them to an expanded definition of family, brother and sister. He's inviting them to hear the word hear the word disciple of Jesus as brother and sister. It's family means anyone in this community of disciples. So it's why the New Testament, when you read the New Testament, you say, what are we calling these people who follow Jesus? The church. What are we calling them? Well, the word that's used is brothers and sisters over 100 times. The only word that's used more is disciple. It's like there's this link. We've got disciple and brother and sister. And so when the church is healthy, it really does function. It really does relate as a family. Now, many of us, we look at this and there are so many questions, bells that could go off in your mind because we carry this deep-seated loyalty in our guts to our biological family, our relatives. Jesus is not asking us to deny our care for our relatives in any way, but Jesus is expanding this definition of family. And to do this, to accept the expanded definition, he says it means you have to be willing to say goodbye to your possessions. And that part it's challenging. It'll mess with your mind. Jesus talks a lot about possessions, and the way that he talks about possessions is life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. So he says these things, sell your possessions, give to the poor. It's over and over. It's not just one time. It's a theme. Here he's saying, those who don't say goodbye to their possessions cannot be my disciples. And so you ask, did the early church, did the disciples get this? Well, the answer is yes. Acts 2, Acts 4 say, yeah, they were selling property and possessions to give to anyone in the family who had need. They held all their possessions in common, all things in common, so no one claimed their possessions were their own. Like, hey, that's my thing. They shared everything that they had. Doesn't mean you can't have nice stuff. They were sharing their stuff. And the world got to witness this expanded definition of family. And there were many people who looked at it and they're like, wow, sign me up. Uh, I can be a part of a community that bubbles over in giving to one another and where people are more valuable than possessions, and where before, like, I had a bad family name, I had no status, maybe we had a shaming event in the family, my resume was just complete garbage, but now I can be a part of this community where we share possessions and I'm a valued member. Sign me up. And so the massive family tree of God really did grow. I I love the beauty of that picture. A fun little description. Tim Otto, his book Oriented to Faith, he gives this description that I think captures this life of sharing uh, family relationships with people who aren't your biological relatives. He calls it kingdom family. He says, they certainly acted like my sisters and brothers, making fun of my amateur cooking. They taught me to grow out of being oblivious to what needed doing. He mentions Debbie. Debbie jumped in my corner like a trainer caring for a beleaguered boxer. She wrote me notes of encouragement, listened to me rant late into the night, hugged me in a way that said, I'm for you. Keep going. I had long talks with Jack, John, and Steve. We ate dinners together, vacationed together, read books together, argued together, competed for bathroom time. That's family. We cleaned up after John's incontinent dog. That's the picture. I look at our own church family, Netart's Friends Church family. We use that language, and there are beautiful ways that our church family is living into this. So I read a text like this as a yay, we're doing it, and as a challenge. Uh, Jesus, help us keep leaning into this. Um, Discipleship. We look at this and we say, wow, this is so beautiful. And it is a beautiful invitation, but Jesus isn't saying it's only beautiful. He's saying it also has a cross, or many crosses. When you lean into this expanded definition of family, and when you lean into, I'm saying goodbye to my possessions, you're bumping up against uh, shame, death, rejection in some way. It may be relatives who aren't real happy with this expanded definition of family that you're using, and they might be like, no, your core obligation is to us over and against everyone else, so stop giving away your time, your energy, your money, whatever it is. They may be like, stop giving us this weird Christian name. That could be a way that you bump up against it. It might be the death of your own personal autonomy. Like, to do this means you you have to say goodbye to, well, it's my schedule, my choice, my. It won't work. You have to say goodbye. So that what Jesus is saying is, are you ready to face it? That's why he tells these stories about this builder who, before they get into the project, they say, do I have what I need? Or this king who assesses the threat and says, how shall I respond? Jesus is basically saying, before you start following me, really ask yourself, what is it again that Jesus is asking me to do? Can I afford to, like, this is a life decision, to embrace this larger family. And that to do that means my possessions aren't just my own. I'm embracing this kind of shared picture? Am I up to that? Can I afford to follow Jesus? Can I afford to not follow Jesus? People come to what Jesus is saying from so many different places. Some people come to what Jesus is saying from a picture of family that they have a fantasy picture of family. They look at like marriage and family as my my family's supposed to meet all my needs, and they expect too much of their family. And so Jesus is saying to them, will you accept this wider definition of family where God gives you this larger family that really could meet all of your needs rather than placing that entire burden of meeting your needs on like just 3 or 4, 5 people? Uh, Other folks, they come to what Jesus is saying from the complete opposite. And they're like, I, I've only ever known a broken picture of family. My family, like divorce, death, mess, dysfunction, that's my picture of family. And so if you say, well, who are your people? Uh, they won't start mentioning relatives. They'll start mentioning others, and yet they think of those people as family. And so those folks look at what Jesus is saying, and it's real easy to grab onto this concept of I could have an expanded definition of family. So we're all coming at what Jesus is saying from different places and having to grapple with elements of time. If I am really a disciple of Jesus, then my time is going to belong to the family, which means I intentionally share time with other disciples, which is really weird during COVID because COVID, and money. So if I really connect with this wider definition of family, then your needs matter to my bank account, and my needs matter to your bank account. Am I connecting with that? That's what Jesus is asking me. Am I connecting with my pressure washer is your pressure washer? And so I have to grapple with what if they don't turn the water on at the right time and they burn it up, or they put the tip on wrong, and so I just want to keep it for myself. No, I'm not. No, you can't use my pressure washer. To connect with this wider definition of family is to let go of me, my mind, my autonomy, my schedule, my choices, my life. I'm doing this for me, my way. And so Jesus is asking me to slow down. He's asking you to slow down and say, what does it mean to be a disciple? And am I ready for this life? Who am I going to upset? What am I going to lose? What am I going to gain? And so I'm leaving you to chew on this. I'm leaving you with 3 questions. You can answer all of them or just one of them. But here they are. Number 1 is, what is one of the sacrifices that discipleship requires of you? So as you look at this, what is the sacrifice? Number 2, what is something that you normally do alone, separate from others, that others in the family, the wider family, might enjoy doing with you? And number 3, what is a possession that you could see benefiting the Netarts Friends Church family? And how might you go about making that available to them? So, hope you enjoy chewing on those and listening to how the Holy Spirit is talking to you. Love you, friends.
just begun to get our share of this world's delight. High hopes we had for the future and our goals in sight. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and